You didn't imagine it. Something shifted in that relationship, and it wasn't random. They changed. The connection broke. And it hurt more than you expected. But here's what you need to understand. What you felt wasn't rejection. It was intervention. God didn't allow it to continue because it would have cost you everything. The distance you're experiencing right now, the silence that feels so heavy, the doors that suddenly closed without explanation. None of it happened by accident. God stepped in when He did because He saw what was coming. And by the end of this message, you'll understand why His protection arrived exactly when your heart needed it most. There's a pain that comes with separation that most people don't talk about. It's not just missing someone. It's the confusion that follows when everything seemed fine, and then suddenly it wasn't. You replay conversations, searching for the moment it all went wrong. You wonder if you said too much or not enough, if you cared too deeply or didn't show it clearly. But here's the truth that will set you free from that endless questioning. You didn't cause this. You weren't asking for too much. You didn't miss some critical sign that could have changed everything. What happened wasn't about your failure to hold on. It was about God's faithfulness to let go. The hardest part isn't even the separation itself. It's loving someone that God is actively distancing from your life. Your heart wants to reach out, to fix whatever feels broken, to bridge the gap that keeps growing wider. But every attempt feels blocked. Every conversation feels strained. Every effort to reconnect meets resistance that you can't understand. And in those moments, you start to question everything. Did you love wrong? Did you push when you should have pulled back? Did you misread what God was doing in your life? The answer is no. You loved with the heart God gave you. But God loved you enough to intervene before that love became your downfall. This is where most people misunderstand what God was actually doing. They see the end of connection as abandonment. They interpret the distance as divine disapproval. They assume that if God truly cared, He would have made it work instead of allowing it to fall apart. But that's not how protection operates. That's not how divine intervention reveals itself. Sometimes the most loving thing God can do is remove access to what your heart can't release on its own. God saw what you couldn't see. While you were focused on the connection, He was watching the destination. While you were holding on to potential, He was protecting you from reality. The person you were drawn to, the relationship you were fighting for, the future you were trying to build. God saw where it was actually leading, and He loved you too much to let you arrive there. He didn't remove them to hurt you. He removed them to spare you from something far more painful than separation. He blocked what your heart couldn't release because He knew that release was the only path to your peace. Think of it like this. When a storm approaches the coast, wise captains don't fight the wind to stay on course. They allow the storm to push them towards safer waters, even if it means abandoning their original destination. The storm isn't their enemy, it's their protection. The same way, when God allows separation to enter your relationship, He's not destroying your happiness. He's redirecting you away from waters that would have eventually destroyed you. The resistance you felt, the doors that wouldn't open, the conversations that never happened. That wasn't rejection. That was divine navigation steering you toward safety. God didn't take something from you. He took something off you. The weight you didn't realize you were carrying. The pressure you didn't recognize was crushing your spirit. The responsibility for someone else's choices that was never yours to bear. When He creates distance, He's not punishing your love. He's protecting your peace. Because real love, the kind that comes from God, never requires you to sacrifice your peace to maintain it. If your peace disappeared around someone, that wasn't love malfunctioning. That was your spirit recognizing what your heart couldn't accept. The anxiety you felt wasn't a weakness. It was a warning. Your nervous system was responding to something your emotions refused to acknowledge. The sleepless nights, the constant worry, the feeling that you were walking on eggshells. That wasn't normal relationship turbulence. That was your soul crying out for the protection that God was already orchestrating. He heard what you couldn't voice and answered what you couldn't pray. The intervention you experienced wasn't punishment for caring too much. It was God's response to a heart that was giving too much to someone who couldn't receive it safely. This is where God's protection becomes unmistakably clear. Not in what He gives, but in what He withholds. Not in the doors He opens, but in the ones He firmly closes. The relationship that ended wasn't your failure. It was His faithfulness. The person who walked away wasn't your loss. They were your liberation from something that would have cost you your identity, your peace, and possibly your faith itself. God doesn't remove what's meant to stay. He only removes what's meant to go, and what left wasn't your future. It was the obstacle standing in the way of your future. The clarity you're gaining now, the peace that's slowly returning, the sense that you can breathe again. That's not time healing wounds. That's God restoring what was being slowly drained away. Every day that passes without that toxic dynamic, your spirit grows stronger. Every night you sleep without anxiety, your soul remembers what rest feels like. Every moment you're not walking on eggshells, you rediscover who you are when you're not constantly managing someone else's emotions. Someone else's emotions. This is where the healing begins to reveal itself. Not because you decided to let go, but because God decided to intervene. The peace returning to your spirit isn't something you manufactured through willpower or positive thinking. It's the natural result of toxic influence being removed from your atmosphere. When God creates separation, He's not just removing a person. He's removing the spiritual weight that person carried into your space. The confusion that clouded your judgment. The anxiety that disrupted your sleep. The constant second-guessing that made you question your own worth. You're discovering something powerful now. When the right person leaves your life, everything becomes clearer. The fog lifts. The pressure releases. The internal conflict stops. That's not coincidence. That's confirmation. God's protection doesn't just shield you from future harm. It restores what was being slowly eroded while the wrong person had access to your heart. Every day they're gone, you remember more of who you were before they arrived. Every night without their chaos, you sleep deeper. Every decision without their influence, you trust yourself more. The person God removed wasn't just wrong for you. They were blocking what was right for you. Not just romantically, but spiritually, emotionally, mentally. Their presence in your life was like a tree growing too close to your house. At first, it provided shade and seemed beneficial. But over time, the roots began to crack your foundation. The branches started blocking your windows. What once felt protective became destructive. And God, seeing the long-term damage being done to your peace, your purpose, your spiritual growth, made the difficult decision to remove them before the damage became irreversible. Here's what you need to understand about divine timing. God doesn't just see what is, He sees what will be. When you were fighting to save that relationship, God was seeing where it would lead 5 years from now. When you were praying for reconciliation, God was watching what continuing that connection would cost your future self. When you were begging Him to bring them back, He was protecting the person you're becoming from the destruction that staying would have caused. His no wasn't rejection of your heart's desire. It was protection of your heart's destiny. So if this message brought you clarity today, receive it as confirmation that God has been protecting you in ways you couldn't see at the time. What felt like loss was actually love. What looked like abandonment was actually intervention. God didn't end it because of you. He ended it for you. And that makes all the difference.